Let's review for the SAT reading and writing section. There are plenty of resources here on YouTube for the math section of the SAT, but there aren't so many for reading and writing. And what some teachers will tell you is that you can't strategize for the reading and writing as much as you can the math. That's probably not true. There are certainly strategies for the reading and writing section, just as there are for the math section. Now, there are many different question types on the SAT, and it's important to know which question you're being asked because each type of question has its own corresponding strategies that will help you find that correct answer. So today we're going to focus on the reading-based questions, and in particular, we're going to focus on this fourth type of question, main idea in detail. Now, these are questions that most students know how to answer because you can find the answer in the text. Not all of the questions are like that, but these specific question types allow you to go back and read the text and it will give you the answer. It won't necessarily give it to you, but you can use the details in the text to find the answer. And how do I know that? This question says, based on the text, how does Lord Chancellor respond to the crowd? So I know right away, based on this right here, based on the text, that this is a main idea in detail question, or the College Board calls it a retrieval question. And it means you can go back into the text and find the answer. So next I want to know, what in particular am I looking for? I'm looking for, how does Lord Chancellor respond to the crowd? So in particular, I'm going to look for that part. So next, let's read the text. One man, who was more excited than the rest, flung his hat high into the air and shouted, as well as I could make out, "Who roar for the subwarden?" Everybody roared. But whether it was for the subwarden or not did not clearly appear. Some were shouting bread and some taxes, but no one seemed to know what it was they really wanted. All this I saw from the open window of the warden's breakfast saloon, looking across the shoulder of Lord Chancellor. What can it all mean? He kept repeating to himself. I never heard such shouting before, and at this time in the morning too, and with such unanimity. So the question asks, based on the text, how does Lord Chancellor respond? So the first thing I'm going to do is look for the words Lord Chancellor, which I found right here. And it asks me, did he respond? So this information that follows Lord Chancellor in quotation marks is what he said. And he said, what can it all mean? So he's probably confused. And I never heard such shouting before, and at this time in the morning too, and with such unanimity. Now, a lot of students will say, well, what does unanimity mean? I don't know what unanimity means. And when the SAT uses words like that, you don't actually have to know the definition of those terms to find the answer. It can help, but there are ways to figure this out without knowing the meaning of every word. So now let's use process of elimination and let's eliminate the answer options that are incorrect. 3 of these answer options are going to be incorrect, and it's going to be easier to find the wrong answers than it is to find the right one. So A, he asks about the meaning of the crowd shouting, even though he claims to know what the crowd wants. So he does ask about the meaning of the crowd shouting. He says, what can it all mean? But he never claims to know what the crowd wants. I never heard such shouting before, and at this time in the morning too, with such unanimity. So that can't be correct. Let's cross that out. B, he indicates a desire to speak to the crowd. Now, right off the bat, I know that's wrong because he never says he wants to speak to the crowd. But I'm going to keep reading anyways, even though the crowd has asked to speak with the subwarden. So up here, the crowd may have asked to speak for the subwarden. There was something about that up here, but Lord Chancellor never said he wants to speak with the crowd, so that can't be correct. Don't look too far into the text. Stick with exactly what it says. Letter C, he expresses sympathy for the crowd's demands, even though the crowd shouting annoys him. Okay, so I can see here that maybe the crowd shouting annoys him, although it doesn't say that directly. You would have to infer that from the passage, which you don't want to do on these questions. You want to stick with exactly what this text says, especially if it says based on the text. But he definitely doesn't express sympathy as if he feels sorry for them. So no. So right off the bat, I know A, B, and C are wrong, and I know D has to be my answer. But let's just read it just for fun. He describes the crowd as being united. So that's what he says right here, and with such unanimity. That means that they're all united, even though the crowd clearly appears otherwise. And that's a little tricky because Lord Chancellor doesn't say that. You kind of have to go up here at the top to get that information. It says everybody roared, but whether it was for the subwarden or not did not clearly appear. Some were shouting bread and some taxes, but no one seemed to know what it was they really wanted. It's just a group of men all shouting random things. And Lord Chancellor seems to think that they're united, even though they're not, and that would be the correct answer. So as you can see, there are strategies on these questions, and if you can identify the question type, you can apply specific strategies to each and have a much better chance of getting the right answer, even if you don't understand all the words in the text, which you're probably not gonna. Most people won't when they're taking this test. But those who score high, those who get 600, 700 and above, they're gonna have effective test-taking strategies, and they're gonna use these strategies to find the right answer, even though they don't always know exactly what the text is saying.